Chapter 14, The Modes and the Natural Minor Scale. The distinctive sound of the major scale is the result of a very specific formula of major and minor second intervals. Major second, major second, minor second, major second, major second, major second, minor second. While it is extremely prevalent in tonal music, it is not the only scale in common usage. One way to expand the list of practical musical scales is to build a set of modes. Modes are additional scales that use the notes of the major scale but shift the tonal center to different pitches. An example would be to use the notes of the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C, but shift the tonal center to D by starting and ending on D. The result is D, E, F, G, A, B, C, D. Notice it's the exact same pitches as the C scale, but the beginning and ending pitches are D, making D the tonal center. We would call this new scale D Dorian. And you can see here that the result is a new set of intervals and a very different, distinctive sound from the major scale. It is possible to designate any note of the C major scale as the tonal center, and this would result in a complete set of modes, as shown here. Now, we will return to a more complete concept of the modes at a later time. For now, take a look at the Aeolian mode, the one that has a tonal center 6 notes higher than the major scale. Another common name for the Aeolian mode is the natural minor scale, and this is the name that we will adopt for now. During the common practice period in Western music, that was about from 1600 to 1900, composers seemed to prefer to use just 2 modes when creating their music. The major scale that we've already studied, here we can see it's also called the Ionian mode, and our new one here, the natural minor scale, sometimes also called the Aeolian mode. To write the natural minor scale, first write a major scale, such as the C major scale, C, D, E, F, G, A, B, C. Then, rewrite it by starting on the 6th note as the tonal center. In this case, A. So the scale would be A, B, C, D, E, F, G, A. This would be the related natural minor scale. This relationship is also shown here for the parent key of E flat major. Now here is a well-known Russian folk song in the key of C minor. You should sing or play it to get a sense of the sound of the minor key. Because C minor and E flat major have the same key signature, they are called relatives. More accurately, C minor is said to be the relative minor of E flat major, and E flat major is said to be the relative major of C minor. When we looked at these relationships in the key of C, we could have said that A minor is the relative minor of C major, and C major is the relative major of A minor, because they both have the same key signature. In that case, no sharps or flats. Knowing the relationship between the relative keys is especially handy because it gives us a quick way to establish the key signatures for minor keys. For example, to determine the minor key that has 3 sharps, we would first build the major key with 3 sharps, and then move to the 6th note to find the relative minor key. So, for example, the question is, what is the minor key represented by this key signature with 2 sharps? The solution? First, determine the major key signature. As you can see, that would be D major, has 2 sharps. Then, starting on the 6th scale degree of D major, write the relative minor scale. Make sure to use the exact same key signature as that of the relative major scale. Notice we start with 2 sharps again, but we start on B and write all the notes. B, C sharp, D, E, F sharp, G, A, and end on B, so that the tonal center is B. Note that while you can discover the relative minor of D major by counting up 6 notes to the 6th scale degree, you can also find the 6th scale degree by counting down 3 notes from the upper D. Many students find this a quicker and easier way to find the relative keys. Now you should check your understanding 14.2 to try to determine the major and the relative minor identity of a few key signatures. You can also use the same relationship of the relative keys when learning to write the correct key signature for minor keys. For example, if we wish to know the key signature for F minor, we would ask, well, what major key is the relative major of F minor? And if we can figure that out, we will know the key signature for both keys of the relative set, as they share the same key signature. Another way to ask this question is, what major key has F as the 6th scale degree? And a little exploration will reveal that A flat major has F as the 6th scale degree, and therefore the key signature of F minor has 4 flats, the same as the relative major key of A flat major. Now, an easier way of discovering the key signature of F minor is to recall the fact that finding the 6th scale degree of a major scale can be achieved not only by counting up 6 notes, but also by counting back 3. And in particular, the specific intervallic distance of counting back 3 notes is a minor third. That's 3 half steps. Therefore, the process of discovering the key signature of F minor can be greatly streamlined by going up a minor third from F to discover the relative major key, as well as the key signature that both share. So here, the question, what is the key signature of F minor? The solution, find a note a minor third above F. As you can see, this is A flat. Therefore, this A flat note will represent the relative major key signature, and therefore use the major key signature represented by this note, A flat, to create the relative minor scale as well. Use the A flat major key signature of 4 flats to also represent the key signature for F minor. The relative relationship between A flat major and F minor is easily confirmed by comparing the 2 scales. See how F is the 6th note of the A flat major scale. Now, since it is now clear that the relative minor scale begins on the 6th degree of its parent major scale, and that going down a minor third is the same as going up to the 6th degree, it may be helpful to use a simple diagram to help in writing and recognizing minor key signatures. Now, in this diagram, the major key and the major key signatures are written in the upper boxes, and the relative minor key is written in the lower box. Note that the minor key is written as a lowercase letter, a common way to designate that it is a key that is minor. These boxes have been filled in for the key of E flat major and its relative minor, C minor. You can see that the intervallic distance from E flat to C is down a minor third. When using the diagram to solve problems, simply fill in the information that you know and then derive the rest. So here's some examples. The question is, what is the key signature of D minor? Well, here's a solution. First, fill in what you know. The minor key that we're trying to figure out is D minor. So go ahead and put that in the lower box. Then, by going up a minor third higher, fill in the upper boxes. A minor third higher than D is F. And the key signature of F is 1 flat. That would be the major key and the major key signature that relate to D minor. So now you know that the relative major of D minor is F and that the key signature for both keys is 1 flat. Here's another one. Here's the question. Which minor key has 3 sharps? The solution, well, fill in what you know, 3 sharps. So we fill that in the major key signature box, 3 sharps. Then fill in the identity of the major key. Now 3 sharps is the key of A. Then finally go down a minor third from A and fill in the lower box to find the identity of the minor third and to find the identity of the relative minor key. As you can see, a minor third 3 half steps lower than A is F sharp. So F sharp minor is the minor key with 3 sharps. And all of these keys relate. In other words, A major has a key signature of 3 sharps. F sharp, natural minor, has a key signature of the same 3 sharps. Now, with a little practice, you'll be able to do this and see this relationship right on the musical staff without even drawing the boxes. You can see the minor third relationship between A and F sharp just by going down the minor third right on the staff. At this time, you should try Check Your Understanding 14.3 to try to write a few minor key signatures using this method.